Was Fight Club more than just a movie to you? Would you consider White Monster in a candy bar a balanced breakfast? Is name brand cereal a hoax? Then it's time that you and I blow every pre-con out of the water for $50 TCG value Kefka. For 50 bucks, I'm gonna give you the core to the perfect clown core deck. Then I'm gonna show you how to upgrade it to every bracket. Most of those upgrades you should be able to find within your collection and or trade for them easily. So if you pulled a Kefka or trade for one, it's time to build it. It's time to enter Clown Core! Also, it is way too hot in here. I can't do this. Oh, now I know I could sit here and start listing all the cool cards I put in this deck, but that's not teaching you. That's not making you a pilot. If you wanted a list, go to Moxfield or any of these other boring channels. I'm here to teach you to pilot this deck. I'm not gonna leave you going high and dry to F&M with this list. You're gonna show up and you're gonna put down, you're gonna know what you're doing. Not only that, Kefka is not what you think. There's much more to this commander, and you want to make sure you're keeping your opponents on your toes. You don't want to seem like a one-trick pony, do you? And because it's not a one-trick pony, this is going to be a high that you can repeat. Every game is going to be different. You're going to be having different angles, and you can play this deck commander agnostic. So if people are targeting you because they don't like Kefka, you're going to be fine. For $50 TCG value, this deck is going to punch way above its belt. You are going to blow any pre-con out of the water with this thing. It is perfect to play with other people who grabbed the pre-con and upgraded it with their collection. But I've got bracket 3 and 4 and another video for CDH for you. Don't worry. Enough talk. Let's cook. Welcome to the Clown Core domain. Enter and learn. All right, baby, buckle up. We discarding, we reanimating, we're giving people the bird when they discard, and we're beating face. So let's round this out. When Kefka Court Mage enters the battlefield or attacks, each player discards a card. Then you draw a card for each card type discarded this way. Wah, wah. Big reminder, that means if someone discards an artifact creature, that is 2 cards. Remember, we're talking about card types. You could draw more than 4 off of this. The card type is what's on the left of that little dash before it explains what it is in its subtype. Then, for 8 mana, each opponent will sacrifice a permanent of their choice, and you will flip Kefka, and we become Kefka, ruler of ruin. Whenever an opponent loses life, you draw that many cards. This deck is full of hand disruption, making people discard, gaining you value, and then giving you targets to reanimate. And on top of this, using your graveyard as a secondary mana source for things like Delve. This allows you to pay the cost of the card by exiling cards from your graveyard. We also have cards that care about how many cards have left the graveyard this turn, making you awesome things. I have carefully cultivated and crafted this deck so that any of the things it does, drawing, discarding, delving, you name it, always benefit you. And even if you do not get your commander out, you are still going to be able to play the game effectively. So before I go into every specific card, let me teach you how to play the deck. We're going to go over 3 things. What are the best hands to keep, what turn 5 should look like, and how to win. Knowing what hand to keep in Kefka is super fun and super easy. 1, at least 3 lands. 2, one thing that you want in the graveyard. That means something within this list that if it's in the graveyard will help you. And if you can't find that, something that delves the graveyard away. That means this deck can reliably mulligan down to 4 and still have fun. Will you ever have to? Almost certainly not, but it's nice knowing you can. We're basically saying that once we get Kefka out and we've discarded a card, we can get value no matter what, even if Kefka gets killed very quickly, even before the first attack. And the spicy thing to look out for, if you can get lucky, is either something with madness or a reanimate effect. That is very uncomfortable. So if you can start your game with at least 3 lands, something you want to discard, and if you're lucky, madness or reanimate effects, you're good to go. So what does turn 5 look like in this deck? By turn 5, you want to be able to cast Kefka. Realistically, due to enough artifacts in this list and abilities to get at least 1 extra mana, we want to cast Kefka by turn 4. That means our goal with this deck is to swing with Kefka on turn 5. From there, set up value. On turn 4 or turn 5, we want to be using our graveyard. That's the plan. By turn 5, use your graveyard. We use it by delving away cards for things like Temporal Trespass or reanimating things like Sphinx of the Second Sun. And if we're not lucky enough to find one of those 2 big effects, we want to use something like Madness, where we get to play a card for cheap that's really big. And if we're lucky by turn 5, we want to use someone else's graveyard, because a lot of our reanimation effects also target any graveyard. So far, my favorite play on turn 5 has been attacking with Kefka and discarding Hellkite. Then, since I dealt damage that turn, I can reanimate it and then have a 12-12. On turn 6, I'll pay 8 mana to flip Kefka over, swing it with Hellkite, and I'm drawing a lot of cards. And if you don't think you can close out a game from there, well, I got to tell you, I'm about to tell you how. How to win the game. Kefka Court Mage closes out the game with 3 different plays. 1. Big reanimations and big swings. 2. Huge delve effects, including ones that give you extra turns for extra combat. And 3. Resource denial. There are a lot of ways to make your opponents discard so many cards. When you're swinging in with the flip side of Kefka, the card advantage is going to be so huge, there's no way they're going to be able to outvalue you. You are always going to have your board filled much higher due to these 3 practices. The idea is this is bracket 2. I did not include any big game-winning combos because that would not be within the spirit of this bracket. Instead, we're trying to outvalue and outgame people with our skill level. So now that you know how to play the deck, let me tell you what's in it. Then I'll show you how to upgrade it. And trust me, if you've watched this channel before, you know this isn't gonna be a bunch of card reading. This is about to be very fun. Battles! That's right, we have a battle in here. Each player mills 3 cards when this enters. This will allow us to fuel graveyards and get more reanimation targets, as well as draws us a card. And what's that? What if we don't have something to reanimate with? The flip side of this card is what reanimates it, baby. 1 swing from Kefka and this thing flips. And you get to copy anything in a graveyard. It's just a perfect card. Creatures, it's time to bring the dead! Our core list at $50 has 6 specific targets. Hullbreaker Horror, Furyborn Hellkite, Sphinx of the Second Sun, Grave Titan, Sire of Insanity, an Inferno Titan. All of these hit the battlefield hard, each one commanding an immense amount of respect, and people will target it. But guess what? That means Kefka can keep churning. These things will eat removal, but they likely won't hit, and you're gonna keep churning and burning with Kefka, getting to do what the rest of this deck loves to do: make people discard. And let me tell you this, if you get Sire of Insanity out while you have Waste Not, GG. Outside of that, we got Raven Man helping us churn and burn, getting some 1/1s, getting some blockers. And it has an activation to make people discard, which really helps our game plan. Then we got Overseer the Damned. It's a nice reanimation target, and it has a nice little extra bump when it ETBs destroy a creature. And whenever a creature dies, you get a 2/2. And then we got a Great Madness creature. It's removal for anything power 4 or greater. And then I snuck in a little Blood Pet. Who doesn't love a little ramp? This thing will help us get Kefka out on turn 4 instead of turn 5. Sorceries! So within the sorceries, we have a bunch of our reanimation spells. First, we have Reanimate. This will hit any creature in any graveyard. Maximum value, baby. Then we have Exhume. You want to hit this early because it is completely symmetrical, meaning every player does get to do it. But come on, it's bracket 2. It's fun. Then we have Persist. Persist is able to hit any non-legendary creature in our graveyard and get them back on the battlefield. Victimize. This one's my favorite. We sacrifice 1 creature and get back 2 to our battlefield. Super broken. Then we have Call of the Netherworld. If we discard this with Kefka, it's free. Immediately put something back in our hand that we wish wasn't milled. And then we also have Dread Return. That way we can Hail Mary it for a creature we really need. Other than this, we have cards like Arterial Flow that allow us to get people to discard, and Vicious Rumors. But remember what I said earlier? We also got these Delve spells, baby. Treasure Cruise is a great way for us to get all those lands that we end up discarding and or milling to get out of our graveyard and draw 3 cards we want. And to keep the discard going, we got Tassiger's Cruelty. And then last but not least, we have Set Adrift. Now that'll put someone back a lot. Instance. We got more reanimation with Corpse Dance. We got extra mana with Dark Ritual. And then we got ways to make Kefka continually re-enter the battlefield with Ghostly Flicker. And then one of the spiciest cards in this entire list, Dream Salvage. Yeah, draw a card for every card people discarded this turn. Thank you. Other ways we have to make them re-ETB are Displace and Essence Flux. Get more of those triggers. But remember, look at me. We flicker Kefka after we've attacked, because if we do it before, he can't. Don't forget this. We got Big Delver Dig Through Time to get cards we want. And look at that, another way to re-trigger Kefka. Blur. And then a fun little flavorful delve counter spell, Logic Knot. It'll make people so mad. I love it. Artifacts. We have some pretty atypical 2-mana ramp spells. We want to try to play one of these a game. It's pretty common we're going to get it in our opening hand, at least one of them, and or by turn 4, so that way we can get Kefka out. But my favorite thing in here is Death's Grimoire. Whenever opponent discards a card, you draw a card. We love to see that. Enchantments. We got the obvious Animate Dead. But now it's time for the things that really care if people discard cards. Waste Not. If they discard a creature, make it 2/2. They discard a land, make 2 black mana. And then it's a non-creature, non-land, you get to draw a card for 2 mana, baby. All this for 2 mana. Then we got Megrim and Raider's Wake, so that when they discard, they start taking damage. And then Shrieking Affliction to really push that thumb into the wound. And then we got Strength's Lunacy. This has a madness cost and allows you to put something on Kefka that keeps it safe from Swords to Plowshares, because we all know that card's in every freaking commander deck. If it can run it, it's probably being played, let's be honest. So now that you got the core list together, let's talk about how it upgrades. And don't worry, I'm not leaving you high and dry. I'm gonna tell you what cards to take out so you know what to put in. So search your collection and the rest of your decks for these cards. First off, we're gonna take out the cards that do madness. Any of the cards that you see in the list that you don't like that have a madness cost, replace them with these cards. And or any less valuable enchantments and or creatures that already do these effects. So we're gonna replace our madness with some craziness. We're gonna try to reanimate Consecrated Sphinx, Toxrill, It That Betrays, Razakath, and Archon of Cruelty. But we're not just adding in new reanimation targets, we're adding in some awesome grind combos. And no, not some 2-card boring infinite, things that all work on their own and normally end up as a combo. So first off, a 1 card is Displacer Kitten. Every time you cast a non-creature spell, such as a Mana Rock or Dark Ritual, you get to flicker Kefka and do his effect all over again. That in itself can be game ending most of the time, especially if you have something like Waste not already out. That means you're gonna be drawing a nuts amount of cards and getting a nuts amount of mana. And then our 2-card combo that work independently of one another is Bloodchief's Ascension and Mnemonic Betrayal. Bloodchief's Ascension comes out as early as turn 1. Once at least one person has lost 2 life within a turn, and that happens 3 times, this thing makes people lose 2 life every time a card enters their graveyard. Once that's active, Kefka's ability is gonna be churning people for life, and you're gonna get insane value out of this card. Then, once there's tons of cards in the graveyard, even if Kefka's been killed at this point, you still have Bloodchief's Ascension, you fire off Mnemonic Betrayal. And guess what? We're not trying to mess with people's graveyards and cast anything. That's all you needed to do. Once the Mnemonic Betrayal's effect ends at the end of turn, all of those cards that were exiled from their graveyards with it re-enter their graveyard. That means it triggers Bloodchief's Ascension, and that right there normally ends the game. Because if they have at least 10 or more cards in their graveyard, that's 20 life. And you damn well know we're gonna be putting that many cards in their graveyards with Kefka. And then of course, if you have the lands, because these have all been reprinted recently, put in the shock lands, put in your fetch lands. Let's make sure we can securely get out Kefka by turn 4. Outside of that, I put in some ways to double Kefka's triggers. These are things like Harmonic Prodigy, Varen Prodigy, Panharmonicon, and we got some ways to clear the battlefield such as Toxic Deluge that won't kill Kefka. And then obviously in a deck that loves reanimating, Gifts Ungiven. Why not? It just got reprinted and put back in the format. It's gonna be nuts. So if you find any of these cards, take out some of those madness cards, take out some of those less desirable lands, and throw these in. And now if we're really looking to punch and your friends play some powerful decks, it's time to put in those Eldrazi Titans, baby. Just make sure not to put any of the ones that enter your graveyard and immediately get shuffled into your library. That would feel stupid. And another new reanimation target, Sheoldred the Apocalypse. You know that thing's gonna trigger like crazy in this deck. After that, Bracket 4 normally means generically upgrading this deck. That means gonna be putting in things like Demonic Tutor, Imperial Seal, in place a lot of the effects that normally just draw you cards or gain you moderate value within the instant and sorceries of this original deck list. After that, generically, we're putting in counter spells because this is a blue deck and we want to take care of our commander. That means you want to put in things such as Force of Will and Force of Negation. And lastly, some fast mana. Now it's time as a community, we take this $50 core list I made for you and we help everyone make it better. So that means go build this, put in what you have from your collection, take it to F&M, and once you've done played and or found cool cards, go to the Moxfield link and comment, and let's help people get this deck better. I'm not perfect. You're gonna find better cards than I did, but I feel like I gave us the perfect template of how to play this deck without getting constantly stomped or it being a one-trick pony or a boring combo commander. Thank you so much for watching. This has been DefCat.